What's up, comic book fans? And welcome to Comics Icons. Now, JJ, what they called me. And today, we got more Avengers Twilight with issue number 5 out of this 6-issue series. And this series so far has probably been one of Marvel's best and most consistently jaw-dropping. From the return of old teammates to the reveal of new twists with each issue has had me, and I'm sure some of you, at the edge of my seat with every page. And this issue continues to do the same, with a super dope surprise at the end. Man, y'all, Chip Zdarsky has been in his bag. And if you need to get caught up on this series, because you definitely don't want to miss a thing, then I go ahead and put a card at the top of your screen right now. And a link at the end of this video as well to the playlist. But out of the bombs that dropped in the last issue, we found out that the new modern Avengers were nothing more than holographic projections from the Red Skull. Then we found out what happened to Tony on H-Day. And last but not least, not only did the Red Skull have the President of the United States arrested, but he also revealed that he knew the locations of all the Defenders' hideouts. And then he donned a new Red Skull Ironman style suit by the end. So if you guys are ready to find out how Cap and his team of old Avengers can even the playing field in a world run by the Red Skull, then you guys know what time it is. Let's get it. So this issue picks up right after the last one, and Red Skull is now suited up in his new Iron Man armor. But James is still trying to wrap his head around everything that's going on now, and that Jarvis isn't really named Jarvis, but instead Johann Schmidt, aka Red Skull. But Skull doesn't have time for this right now, and he has James scan his armor for any malware or AI programs. But this armor is amazing, and there are no issues, James tells him. But Skull had to be sure. This was a gift from Ultron, who isn't above putting Trojan horses in his gifts. Then James tries to tell Skull that he appears to be leaking or bleeding from his suit or something. But Skull doesn't seem to care, and he sends James to go ahead and suit up. According to him, today's the day they save America. But then we see Ultron on the monitor, who realizes that Skull never planned to honor their deal. Which Red Skull does admit to. He definitely did not. Machines serve man, he tells Ultron. I will not allow you to reign when I die. People see me as a monster, but all I want is a better world. But Ultron calls him human ego on a scale that defies measurement, and tells him that all he really wants is power, for humans to bend the knee, to recognize you. You will never be satisfied. Your sad human life will forever be in pursuit of things denied you from birth, from your flawed mother. The Skull is to hear no more of this, and he fires a repulsor shot at the monitor, destroying the last remaining remnants of Ultron. At least that we know of. And then Skull repeats to the dead computer that machine serves man, and the men serve the Red Skull. Then we pick up with the real Avengers, and what they know for sure right now is that the Red Skull is taking control of the military and law enforcement by targeting specific members and feeding them lies and propaganda, and with fake reporters and fake Avengers. And they're making the people believe that they're saving the country from a rogue president, when in actuality they're securing it for the Red Skull. And in the files that Iron Man has saw back at the mansion, they showed that members of the military are turning against the White House and the Capitol, enacting a coup in the Pentagon. And it's funny because in the last issue, Thor had joked about Bullseye being their new Hawkeye. And Bullseye was like, no. And now she's in full Hawkeye gear here. But Bullseye, being a former military member, knows that this is from years of brainwashing. And now these men and women are sure of their convictions. Her buddies in the Marines were all headed down that path, telling her about conspiracies that she knew weren't real. But they believe it. And when someone believes, it's like trying to erode a mountain and the truth is rain. As we then see the White House as it's being taken over, and now law enforcement has the president under arrest. But the president believes that the Avengers will stop them. But in walks the big bad Red Skull, the final boss. Shout out to The Rock. But the officers don't recognize Skull in his armor and makes the mistake of trying to stop him, but Skull doesn't have time to convince foot soldiers of his standing there, so he quickly ends the life of these guys. But the president doesn't know yet either who he is. Then Skull shows the president a hologram of the Avengers, and then he informs him that they're not real. He created them. fantasies to keep the people feeling safe at night. After all, isn't that what anyone truly wants? Safety? Then Skull starts to remove his faceplate, revealing his identity. And after seeing him, the president is stunned, as we can now see that the Red Skull's suit literally runs through his body, eyes and all, which explains why James saw him leaking earlier. And he tells the president that although he may no longer need his diminishing body, he is still a man who refuses to let weak institutions reward weakness, to coddle a nation. But the president still believes that the Avengers will come to save him. But this time it actually looks as if he's correct, as Red Skull notices that the real Avengers are en route. As we see those Avengers, and according to Miss Marvel, chatters are starting to come in about the White House being taken. So Cap tells Tony to save the president while they secure the Capitol before the army gets in. But back with the Red Skull, he figured since the Avengers are on the way, then unfortunately for the president, his time ends now, as Skull straight up annihilates the president just before Iron Man flies in through the window. And now it's up and it's stuck with Iron Man and Red Skull as they take this fight to the air and crash into another building. And as these two Iron Warriors battle it out, Skull calls on Tony Stark's son, James, and tells him that it's time. And now James Stark in full Iron Man armor, along with his army of Iron Men, have entered this fight. And he tells Skull to let his pops know that he should have stayed in that tank. Then we pick up at the Capitol, and the rest of the Avengers have arrived, including Thor. And they all come in and fight off the law enforcement who are attacking. But Cap makes sure that there are no casualties here. These soldiers are fighting to save their country. Their minds have been warped across decades by Skull. But we then go back to Skull and Tony, and they're still having this knockdown, drag-out battle. And Skull is now taunting Tony about losing his wife, his country, and his son. But these two are really pretty evenly matched right now. But then Skull tells Tony all his friends are about to die. Then he calls his general and has them to begin the raid on all the Defenders' safe houses. And it's a full kill order on whoever they find. He even tells them to go ahead and fire the missiles, so the city can be raised and then regrown under a new democracy. Then Skull tells Tony that if he leaves and goes after the missiles now, he just might be able to stop a few of them. So that's exactly what Tony does. He takes off to stop the missiles, and he lets Cap know that he's going after them, but also that the Skull is still on the loose, and the president has been taken out. Then Bullseye or Hawkeye, whatever you want to call her, also adds in that these guys are going to hit the vice president next, and right now Secret Service has her on the move. So Cap tells Hawkeye and Miss Marvel to intercept him while he and Thor take care of the Red Skull. But Red Skull comes in blasting and knocks Thor back. Then Skull asks Thor if he's ever fought an entire country before. He already knows Cap has. He's fought Skull's beloved Germany. And Cap was a leader of men back then. But now he tells Cap he leads a children huddled away in their ramshackle buildings across America. Buildings that the Red Skull is currently tearing apart. Children that he's currently murdering. But Skull's Alpha team reports in that the safe houses that they're at are empty. Then more reports start to pour in from the rest of the team that are experiencing the same issues with empty safe houses. Then we see Steve's wife, Rosa, who's on top of a building overlooking the safe houses, and she calls to tell Steve that everyone has already been evacuated. The Defenders were smart and already figured Skull would come for him. Then we switch back to Tony as he's chasing after the missiles, and he tries calling in Cap and Thor because there are way too many for him. But they can't hear him as James flies in, telling Tony that he's jamming Tony's signal. It's over with for them, he tells his pops. Then Tony tries to appeal to his son, but his son just accuses him of lying. But Tony begs him to stop this madness. This is the Red Skull he's following, and he's gonna kill millions. But James replies that he's gonna save billions. Then James tells Tony that this isn't about Tony being a hero. Tony only ever cared about how the world sees him, according to James. The selfless hero for the camera, letting his wife die, letting his son become an orphan. But Tony tells him that this isn't what he wanted. He loves James and he loved his mother. Then he tells James that he knows James thinks what he's doing here is right, but people's lives are all that matter. Your mother, me, my friends, we only ever tried to save people, to protect them, give them the freedom to live their lives. The Red Skull only cares about power, about controlling people. I wasn't there for you, and I'd give anything to change things. But I am here now. I'm here to tell you that this is wrong. You can't control people. But James ain't trying to hear anymore, and he yells over and over to his father to shut up. But then Tony thanks James, because he didn't change up his suit designs too much. And now James is like, what the hell? Because Tony has now hijacked control of all of James's Iron Man army. I don't control people, Tony tells him, but I'm damn good at controlling machines. And then we pick up with the other battles, and Miss Marvel and Hawkeye have successfully gotten the vice president. Then Cap tells them to move her to safety while he and Thor get Skull. But Skull is dominating this fight right now, and he tells Cap that he's got nothing. He's the soul of the Red Skull and the power of Ultron. But Cap's like, Ultron, huh? Good to know. We beat him all the time. But checking back in on Tony and James, we can see that James has gotten the upper hand in this fight. But he wonders what Tony did with his army, and Tony tells him that he sent the drones on some missions. Your boss's missiles are gone bye-bye. Then James throws his father into the Washington Monument. Then he shouts at Tony, you think that's all we have? And as Tony bounces off the monument and hits the ground, James flies in and continues to pound it. You couldn't leave well enough alone, could you? James asks. We could have done this with minimal casualties. But now, Red Skull is about to throw everything at Washington and drop a nuclear payload. And now Tony pleads to his son to let him stop this. But James just continues to pile on the beating. Why'd you have to ruin everything? He yells at his pops. And when James finishes beating on his dad, he lets up. And then he kind of just sits there and reflects or cries or whatever the hell. I'm not really sure what he's doing besides sitting there looking sad. But Tony Stark's faceplate is jacked up. James messed him up pretty bad. But Tony is able to contact Steve now, and he tells him that the Skull is dropping a nuke and it's coming in hot due west. And Cap is still fighting against Skull, but he has Thor to stop that nuke. Aye, Captain, Thor responds. The coward's weapon will not land today. And Thor flies up toward that nuke. Then we see Luke Cage with Tyler, and Tyler is broadcasting everything to every person in the country. Although Tyler's worried now that all they'll see is Cap dying. But Luke ain't finna let that happen. Always did have to save his ass back in the day, he tells Tyler. But Cage is super old, and he can hardly move, Tyler reminds him. But Cage responds that he's still bulletproof, and he hates fascists. He's not sitting this one out. Plus, he's got him a nice little exosuit. But then we go back to Cap and Skull's fight. And Skull brags to Cap that this isn't some impetuous plan. This is decades in the making. But Cap tells him that he doesn't care if he's planned this for a millennium. I'll stop you, again and again. You can manipulate people into believing that H-Day was necessary, that Hero Day was some inevitable judgment on my friends. But we'll still keep fighting, because that's what we do. But Skull, he gets a kick out of all of that. Then he fills Cap in on a little something. You and your H-Day. Since that glorious battle, America has been safer than ever. And while he talks to Cap, we see Thor flying in hot trying to stop this nuke. But then when he gets close to it, he's left stunned as Skull continues. And did you ever wonder why? Was it because your heroes actually stood in the way of peace? Or was it because America finally had the ultimate weapon that they could drop in upstart countries at will? Typical American narcissists. It was never called H-Day because of you heroes. It was called H-Day because of the Hulk, as we then see the Hulk is the nuke, and that's what they've been using for all these years to wipe out whole countries. Man, that's next level diabolical, y'all, and I can't lie, I absolutely love it. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of this issue. Damn, y'all. I know a few of y'all been wondering where's the Hulk. Well, we got an answer now. Damn, y'all, this story is cold as hell for real. This is probably the best written series Marvel has right now. Chip Zdarsky hasn't missed on this one yet. And now there's only one more issue left, y'all. I really wish this was like 10 issues long. I can't lie, y'all. I don't want this to end. But how you guys liking this? What do you think about this issue and this series so far? And I know Skull said here that Tony let his wife die, but In the last issue, Tony was still trying to remember what had happened to her, so I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that she might show up in the finale. I don't have no proof or nothing. This is just my own personal opinion, but I don't know. Maybe she'll be the one to get her and Tony's son, James, back on track. And maybe she shows up kind of like Janet Van Dyne in the Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania when she was in the quantum realm. You know, she was kind of like a post-apocalyptic loner or something. I don't know. But I do think she's still alive. But what do you guys think? Do you think that this was a curveball and she's still alive, or do you think that she's really gone? I really love to see this story or something close to it covered on the big screen. Hell, I'd even settle for animation, but this is sick, y'all. But as always, if you guys enjoyed this video and this channel, and you like to support the channel, then you guys can do so by joining the Iconic Fan Club channel membership. And there'll be a link in the description to join, but with your membership, you'll gain access to weekly interactive live streams with yours truly, where we could talk about everything going down in these issues, as well as other stuff that you'd like for me to go over in the future and other comic book news too. Plus, you guys will get loyalty badges, member shoutouts, and all in these videos. Or you guys could donate to the channel with a super thanks. And if you're not able to do either of those, then that's totally fine. You guys could still be a tremendous help to the future of this channel by dropping a like, share, and subscribe in the Comics Icons for more icons in the comic book world. But ladies and gentlemen, it's about that time. I'm out. Peace.